Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I almost didn't make it for several reasons. I'm going to tell you not a history of Holocaust because you are learning it, but my and my family's experience during the Holocaust. How do I get to it? I was born in Romania, and it's not Germany, it's not Hungary, it's Romania, right? And if you see that map there on top is the city of Sziget, and you heard how famous the city had become. So when I was born, the city had about over 30,000 people, equally divided between Romanians, Hungarians, and Jews. Actually, there were 12,000 Jews in Sziget. And it was a very Jewish city. In a sense, you had all your relatives and you had your friends, and almost everybody talked even your language, Yiddish. And it was accepted, but I would say it was Romania, and we were sort of second-class citizens, but working harder than others. We always made it, like making it in school and making it in business and so on and so forth. My family consisted of my parents and my 7 brothers, 4 younger and 3 older brothers. And you know what it means to be one girl, right? And my 7 brothers. They knew my birthday. I never knew all of their birthdays. So it was a very traditional life at that time, 1920, right? And at home we spoke Yiddish, and there was the Jewish, Jewish people were very much together. They had their temples, and they had all their rights at that time, right? So indeed, I spoke Yiddish at home and started to speak Romanian only when I went to elementary school. I went through elementary school, and then I went through college, through high school. The point is that not many people, not many girls went to high school at that time, and very few Jewish girls. I remember I was a very good student already in the elementary school, and some parents called me to come to stay in the afternoon to do the homework with their daughters, which I did. But when I went to high school, indeed, I was one of the best students, and by the 3rd grade, somehow I became a tutor. Parents came to me, and I want you to come every day and tutor my daughter. And I had 2 girls whom I tutored at the age of 13. This is starting to work in my life. Not that the money meant so much, but even today, it is good to have some extra money and order your own dress or your own coat, because you couldn't buy at that time ready-made stuff. So here there are very few girls in our class, because I told you, not everybody went to high school. And I remember my father accepted me to go to high school. Also, we had some rules and religious rules, but you promised me you are not going to take notes on Saturday. I promised him. So during this high school, many things happened, but still it was a peaceful life, I would say. Right? We had many friends, and we had many organizations. Don't forget, it was in 1930, 1940, and everybody joined all kinds of organizations. We had friends, and in my 8 years of high school, I even had a boyfriend. High school was very stringent. I have to tell you what we learned in high school. You would think it is junior college. We had 8 years of French, 6 years of Latin, 4 years of German or English, depending if we had teachers. This is about languages. So we talk about philosophy. 1 year you did psychology, sociology, and so on. For every material, every year was harder and harder. The same history, local history, European history, geography, the same. And indeed, if you came at that time to the United States, they would give you at least 2 years of college. So yes, I was a very good student. I was never number 1. even though I deserved it. And I remember in the last year of high school, when we got the awards, the first award was a Romanian girl. She passed with 973, and I passed with 972. Something like that. It was very obvious, but you accepted this type of things, right? I'm very, very glad that I can make it through school, and I enjoyed very much. We had all these friends, and I told you, being those years, everybody belonged to groups. And I belonged to Zionist groups, and my boyfriend belonged to a communist group. And all this went until 1940 when I finished high school. And in 1940, the war had started. You know, the war had started in 1939. In 40, the Germans have asked the Hungarians, their neighbors, you see with the map, they asked to join them. And the Hungarians accepted to be allies, but they got a reward. And what was their reward? They got part of Romania. You see that hatched part, right? Part of Transylvania, which had been before the First World part of Hungary. So here suddenly, from one day to another, we became Hungarians. The Hungarians marched in. There was no war. But it was a very fascist government already. And when they came with all the rules of all those, because they were allies of the Germans. They made it very hard for Jews to take over some of the bigger jobs. They wanted to take over the businesses. But something very serious was that the Jewish kids couldn't go anymore to public high school. Also, couldn't go to college anymore. You see, I just graduated high school and all the Hungarians came. Luckily, I spoke Hungarian, obviously. So this was a time that we call Hungarian occupation. It was very anti-Semitic, but we could live. It was not war for us yet. But meanwhile, what the Nazis knew, you know very well. I don't have to give you the history. But you know that when Hitler came to power, right, there were two ideas which he won the approval of the German people. One was that we are special people, right? And we need more space to breathe, and wherever they are Hungarian, they are our people, we have to occupy them. And the other idea is the Jews are the worst of all, and when I come, I take care of the Jews. I chase them away from Europe. It's very important to know, he didn't say I'm going to kill them or annihilate them, chasing out of Europe. And indeed, this happened for a long time. Those who had money in Germany still could get out with money and taxes, okay? So when the Hungarian occupation started to become very hard, and I have to tell you, at that time, among my 7 brothers, only 2 brothers were at home. 5 brothers were not. And you will see what happened to this and to this. My brothers at home was my older brother, called Moishe, who was a very talented young man, a draftsman, an artist, and he had a very, as my father, who was an insurance agent, lost his job with the war, my brother was very happy to get a job at the movie house. So at least he would support the family.